Hello and welcome to WWE Questions You Most Want Answered. I'm Adam Wilborn from What Culture, joined by Adam Cleary and Adam Nicholas from What Culture to answer all the questions you want answered about WWE this afternoon. We are live here on YouTube, so if you want any questions answered, make sure you stick them in the comments section below. Any donations are more than welcome. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts where we review Raw, SmackDown, the Wednesday Night War between AEW and NXT, pay-per-views. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week, complete with a bloody good quiz, of course, on wrestle culture. But as I said, joined by Cleary and Nicholas to answer all of your questions about WWE, the week of Money in the Bank, of course. And I suppose we should start by a question that many people have been asking and speculating on, Adam Cleary. I can't believe I'm going to ask this. Who's coming off the roof of Titan Tower at Money in the Bank?
WWE share price, I would imagine. But if we're looking at a more physical answer for that, they're teasing Rey Mysterio. They're genuinely trying to get people to watch this. Like, oh, one false move from me, and I will literally die. Tune in to Money in the Bank this Sunday to see if Rey Mysterio dies. So, I don't know. I hope genuinely nobody, because you can only suspend disbelief so much for these kind of things. And I'm willing to buy that The Undertaker miraculously transported out of a 6-foot hole in the ground to appear behind AJ Styles drenched in a blaze of supernatural light. I'm willing to believe that. But if somebody gets chucked off the top of Titan Towers, all 7 stories of it, by the way, I'm not willing to see them appear on Monday Night Raw. Like, oh, my poor back. God, it hurts so much. But, oh, God damn it, I want to wrestle the person that threw me rather than have them sent immediately to prison. So I hope nobody, as good as that would be.
Nicholas, what did you think when you heard this news? Because it's not guaranteed. But yes, as Cleary pointed out, they are hinting more and more and more that someone in this, by the way, simultaneous Money in the Bank ladder match, both the men's and the women's will be going on at the same time. And Sidgwick told me today that apparently they're just sort of going to be visiting the match throughout the night, which I think actually could make it rather good and space the show out quite well. But what do you reckon to this news, Nicholas?
It's interesting, isn't it? This is very, whoever pitched this to Vince McMahon and pitched it well, I assume, was like the golden boy or woman in that area, because genuinely he must have been sitting there going, that sounds amazing. Like, chuck somebody off the top of the roof. But the fact that AJ Styles very specifically in his promo was like, it could be Aleister Black or it could be Rey Mysterio. I thought that was weird. It was like, here's 2 guys. It could be them. Like, it could have been anybody. But he specifically was like, I want you to pay attention to Aleister. Could it just be AJ Styles? Is it going to be just a bad old month and a bit for AJ Styles?
Well, there's people speculating as to why WWE brought him back so soon. That wasn't originally the plan, allegedly. They were going to, sell the fact that, yes, he was in a boneyard match at WrestleMania and maybe keep him off TV for a little bit longer. But by the sounds of things, they were like, oh, bollocks, we need some more, pay-per-view buys and what have you. So, yeah, AJ Styles come back with not a fleck of dirt on him or anything like that. So perhaps to reset things, and this is just coming to my brain, the fact that they've got that Undertaker documentary on immediately after Money in the Bank. Maybe Taker could still involve himself in it. He's just, there popping around to see old Vinny, and then he remembers and hears AJ banging on about the fact that Boneyard match was a load of bollocks and just, shoves AJ off the roof. Cleary, you look like you're going to have an aneurysm here.
Just have to jump in a second here. AJ Styles returns without a fleck of dirt on him. The man was thrown into a grave a month ago and has returned to television a month later, not dirty, and you're like, what the hell?
Sarah
Buglass. Don't try and
hang on. I'd like you to elaborate on this, please.
Yeah, would you? Sorry, am I to understand that if I threw you into a pit in the ground, a month later you would still be scruffy?
I'd like some sort of continuity there with just a little bit.
He could be dead.
Just a little bit of dirt on his shoulder or something. I just think the fact he completely no-sold the match and said, I didn't even really lose because what even is a boneyard match? I don't know. You booked it, mate. So
all I'm saying is some people in that match don't even work for the company no more. So who's the real loser?
Yeah, exactly. By the way, I can't remember who said this yesterday, but we were talking about AJ potentially returning, and I can't get AJ Styles representing the grave community out of my head nowadays. So I can't remember who said that. I do apologize. A wonderful comment section said that. Nicholas, Sarah Buglas. Sorry, Sarah, has given a lovely donation and says, do you see Vince throwing someone off the roof?
Do I say, wow, if ever there was a time for Vince McMahon to do something like that, surely it's now, because everybody already hates him after all of the releases and stuff. And I think that would be him to be like, yeah, well, you know, I've came on TV to specifically mention Katie Vick now the other week for Triple H's 25th birthday or whatever the hell that is. Let's just come back and actually bury someone. And maybe even knowing Vince, he'll tell them, don't worry, there's a safety net down there, and then just throw someone off the building and hope that he can just cover it up. It would be a hell of a visual, and we would have content for weeks. So I would love Vince McMahon to throw somebody off the roof. I don't know if it's going to happen, though. I don't think so.
I think he's going to throw Drake Maverick off the roof.
And that's it. That's the end of it.
That's it.
Regular contributor Matt Rains. Matt, thank you so much for your donation.
That's
a really good question. Matt says, afternoon, guys. Hair is looking good, fellas. I assume that's directed at Adam Nicholas. I'll be perfectly honest. If you could replace one member of each Money in the Bank match with another person, who would you pick? Cleary, you want to take this?
Oh, no, absolutely not. Of course I don't.
Okay. Whilst you're thinking of that, I'll say who I wanted.
Okay.
Titus O'Neil. Why didn't Titus O'Neil win the gauntlet, first of all? And also, if you want someone to fall off a roof, he tripped and fell at the Greatest Royal Rumble. The story is right there.
Yeah, but how, like, is he going to trip while he's running up the ladder and then go off the building or something? What's the deal? Like, talk me through this.
Well, as my dad always told me whenever we used to go climbing when I was a wee lad, never run towards an edge, son. So he's going to be rushing about. He's going to be getting in a tiz about winning Money in the Bank, and he's going to trip and go off the edge of the roof. He'll be fine, of course, because apparently Vince is the one who's teaching people how to take such a big bump. But I think that. And then on the other side of things, it's kind of difficult because the weird way they booked her last night. I would have probably put Liv Morgan in the Money in the Bank ladder match, but then again, I want the contract to go to Shayna Baszler, so it kind of doesn't really matter who I replace in that women's Money in the Bank ladder match, because for me, it has to be Shayna Baszler who wins this contract, or if anyone other than her, Asuka. Cleary,
you're hosting, mate. You got to feed us in.
Sorry, who are you replacing?
I would like to replace Rey Mysterio with Shane McMahon.
That's
right.
I would just like to. I think if they're going to tease anybody plummeting 7 foot off Vince's building to his death, why not just have art imitate life and fast forward that inevitable crisis in Shane McMahon's life into a bit of entertainment for us? And I would like to take Nia Jax out of the women's match and replace her with Kairi Sane.
Oh, it's a dream. It's never going to happen, but it's a dream. Nicholas?
It is a dream. Adam Cleary, I like that a lot, Shane McMahon coming in, although it's just reminded me of what a wonderful thing this would be, right? Imagine if Shane McMahon were just running down the pipeline of dreams here, by the way. I realise this is all completely fictional. Shane McMahon comes and takes someone's spot, right? Shane is going to become the best in the building or whatever he's going to be this time around. Whichever way. The best in the bank. And literally, as he's going up this, and it has to be really high ladder, this one, that for some reason decided it's even higher. Who should come out of the lift that's just opened, cinematic doors as the lift opens up? It's only bloody Steve Blackman, right? Steve Blackman comes bursting out the lift, because of course there's a lift that goes to the top floor now, running with his kendo stick, gets to the top, grabs Shane. He can't believe it because Shane knows all about Steve Blackman and high bumps, and he looks at him, and he pulls the stick out of his pants, because he's had these harem pants on, so you couldn't see he had the kendo stick, whips it out, and they both go off the building. And that's the last we ever see of Shane. And maybe the last we ever see of Steve Blackman too.
What a way to go.
That's a great idea, because he's the lethal weapon, so that would work.
He's the lethal weapon. In and out. No messing. In and out. Big payday. Get him over in Saudi Arabia for a money match.
That's a great idea, that.
I really, really like that. Daz4785, presumably going on the same wavelength here, saying, what if Shane elbow drops someone off the roof?
God,
would watch it. Would absolutely watch it. I am in a unique position here, as Titan Towers is 7 stories high. I live on the 7th floor of a building. I know precisely the peril involved with what we're talking about here. And as I look out of this window, as I often do, I could very easily see Shane McMahon not only performing this stunt, but maybe even living. Maybe.
Somehow winning the match still.
I won't go that far.
Marc-Andre Briere, I hope I've pronounced that right, Marc-Andre, says, with money in the bank being a giant 24/7 effectively, could we see Gronk losing the title in McMahon's office whilst negotiating his situation during these segments for the simultaneous matches? I hope they get the title off him soon, Cleary.
That I absolutely agree with that. I do imagine you will see Rob Gronkowski in this at some point, possibly to drop the 24/7 championship. Apparently, there's some kind of hand egg development he's had, which means you can't wrestle for them anymore. I don't know what that is, but I imagine they're going to get that off him sooner or later. I would be astonished if, given that they're going to throw both these matches together, so effectively it's now a 12-person double cash in the attic match. I would be astonished if other subplots don't end up getting brought into this as well. Like people not involved in the match getting involved in it. Like other stories just trying their best to exist around it, somehow getting brought. The thing I keep going back to is, you remember the first NXT on USA? How we just descended into an all-out brawl of the entire roster. Like poor Walter sat there trying to have some, I don't know what an Austrian delicacy is. He's just sat there trying to eat something. And it just... Yeah, that one. Yeah, it could be something like that. That's absolutely fine to say it on the internet. Yeah. And he just ends up getting roped into the brawl. I could just see stuff like that happening. And the Gronk idea is probably the most logical one.
Yeah, they need to get the title off him, Nicholas, because we were talking about the 24/7 championship earlier.
We're just giving past that wall a bit, okay. Do you know what it is, right? I've just sat in this very seat, and do you know how on we're rewatching back our first ever videos for What Culture as part of the 2 million subscribers thing on the main channel?
No.
We're rewatching like the first videos. Well, I've been doing that, and in the middle of mine, Kevin Spacey just appeared, and I just genuinely, my first thought was, how's Wilborn not been cancelled?
It's a question I ask myself every single day. I really is. I wish anybody on the internet could see you remotely outside of this specific square that they see you in every week.
This is me with a handbrake on.
I know.
It's ridiculous. But yeah, just to get back to the central point, Nicholas, they do need to get the 24/7 championship off Gronkowski, don't they?
Yes, they do. Yeah, oh no, well, maybe not. But you can definitely say that the fascinating thing could be if Gronk is going to drop the belt. How are they going to do this in a way that adheres to his? Because these contracts with the NFL and stuff will be mega strict, and Gronk himself is not exactly. I know he did the bit where he came out at WrestleMania and nearly killed Jinder Mahal that time, and then obviously the most current one was involved in a really dangerous schoolboy. But how are they going to get it off him if he's not really allowed to take any hits just in case? Like, is it going to have to be something pathetic, or is it going to be something super creative?
Sir, I know, sir. I know, sir. Sir, I know.
Yes, you with the blue hoodie.
They'll have recorded it ages ago.
That's very true.
You're just going, I got to sign this NFL thing since I can't take any bumps. Do you want should I just come in and you can roll me up or something? Okay.
I have a feeling it's going to be dealt with over the weekend because of all the pre-recorded nature of Money in the Bank. I really, really can see something doing that. Because as much as WWE like to speculate, maybe it'll happen on the sidelines whilst the match is going on. No, it bloody won't. So, yeah, feel free to speculate in the comments how you think Gronk's going to have it taken off him at Money in the Bank. Money Out to Anus says...
To Mr. and Mrs. De Anus.
Says, does it matter? This was presumably when we were talking about who's going to come off the roof, because it's going to be such good. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by all that. A few more comments. I need to read it out here. New Punk Rants says the wrestling world needs one man, Juventud Guerrera. Also, Nia should go off the roof in a Godzilla type spot. Thanks, Khan, for AEW. Love you all. And 619 Wisey says, hi, lads, what's the chances that Otis does a similar bump to what he did in Elimination Chamber? Instead, he goes off the building. Can see that parody. I've speculated on this before, Cleary. I can't see Vince looking past the fat man coming off the roof.
Genuinely, and hear me out here, My outside pick for Money in the Bank is Mandy Rose, involving a spot where Otis could get the men's briefcase, but instead make sure she gets the women's one.
Nicholas, your thoughts?
I mean, to say that it would be a similar bump that Otis would be taking is
well, you stood on glass that time. Let me just throw you through this window.
Yeah, just go through that like perspex. How do you say that? Perspex. I don't know what it is. Pair. That stuff. Going through that onto a padded mat is slightly different to going off the top of a balcony, off a roof, on 7 floors down. But yeah, why not? It could be anyone. Literally, it could be all of them. It could be any of them. Vince has probably got some grand idea that we just don't know about yet. Expect something stupid because this needs to be memorable to distract us from the fact that it's probably got the potential to not be good as well.
You've inadvertently stumbled across a bit of genius there, because if you ever wanted to come up with a name for a wrestling move where you throw somebody through glass, the Persplex. Absolutely brilliant.
Very good.
A few more comments to read out. Matthew McFadden says, just saying I did suggest in a previous stream for Alistair Black to yeet someone off the roof before it was cool. Still stand by that statement. Orby Noman says, could someone fall halfway through and AJ flies past or something? Who knows? And interesting question here from Cole.
Wait. What?
I assume he means a fall halfway through the match.
This is what I'm seeing. One's coming off and AJ is like Superman on his way up to the top.
That's what I read into it as well.
Yeah.
Cleary, you mentioned the 2 million subscribers celebration on the main channel. Cole Peebler says, what are the plans to celebrate 2 million subscribers, presumably on the wrestling channel? I imagine a live stream when you guys are close.
We actually haven't discussed this yet, have we?
I think I heard that we're all going to have a nice lie down, is what I heard.
Oh, yeah. Well, we all get a day off.
Day off, I think it was, something like that. I'm sure they said that.
I don't know, actually. We should do something for any suggestions you've got for how you'd like to see us celebrate the 2 million subscriber mark. Please do get them in the comments.
We did have a really there's a long progressed idea that we haven't actually ever executed yet, but it was rumor that we could potentially do a live stream where we watched all the WrestleManias. And a whole bunch after it. We were going to try and potentially break a world record, but we never really got around to it. And then someone in Germany did break the world record, so we'd have to break it even more. But I would be up for something ridiculous like that.
God, I mean, I would like to not do what we did for the 1 million subscribers thing, which was the 24-hour live stream. That is literally the roughest, most soul-destroying bit of content I've ever had to do in my life.
Well, we did the math on this, and I think it would have been a week plus. So,
yeah, I'm good. Matt Scott is pitching how we take the title off Gronk, saying Gronk is at a camp and gets hit by a defender who then pins him. One of the other players tears off his gear to reveal his stripes, and the player pins Gronk. It's R-Truth. Yes, I think that's probably the only good way that you can see them doing this.
We also end of season.
We also got a question here from regulars and contributors. Spaz Phoenix. Spaz Phoenix says, hello and much love to Nick, Willie, and Clarence. I don't want to say just another random tag team, but is there a team in Alistair Black and Damian Priest, also the Super Legion of Lee, Cedric, and Ricochet? Nicholas, why don't you take this one?
These are interesting ideas. You're making some points. You are making some points. I don't think I want to see Damian Priest and Alistair Black anywhere near each other. Remotely. Yeah, the leather boys. I tell you what, Cedric and Ricochet and Keith Lee would be like a good fun 6-man. Like imagine the back and forth they could do. I really enjoyed it when it was Keith Lee and Leo Rush. That dynamic of the quick athletic guy and Keith Lee being able to just pounce people out of the ring at any given moment. So that would be pretty cool. But then who knows? Would they even get? I mean, we saw what's happened to the Two Fly guys, man. They were doing so well. And then they get beat off. Were they? Yeah, exactly. Then they get beat off. What's Shane Thorne and Big Lad?
Brendan Vink, who explicitly explained that he was 6'5" in his promo last night.
6'5".
You know what his Twitter handle is?
Brendan Vick 6'5".
Oh, it's just at 6'5" or something like that.
Is it really?
He hasn't even got his name in it. I don't get why it's so hard for them. It's like they brought a tag team in. Everyone was like, right, well, you absolutely mullered Ricochet against Brock. You completely destroyed his credibility. Like, not even in the match itself, like having him in the build-up, like, hey, why not me, guys? I'm a wrestler who could win a wrestling match. Wouldn't that be something? And then made him look even more of a joke in the match itself, then put him on main event. And everything that they've done with Cedric's been even worse than that. Then all of a sudden they come in, they're doing really well. Just let them win a load of matches.
Yeah, I think we were talking about this on the Raw Review podcast earlier. I think they're 2-2 because I think they lost one of their first matches to the Viking Raiders or Street Profits or someone like that. And then they lost last night. So this push, Hamlet said this, they've in this weird time period when they've been taping shows, they've brought people in, pushed them, and given up on that push in the space of about 3 weeks. It's madness.
I think, do you not think that backstage in Gorilla, there's like do you know what them saying to say that you've got to be this tall to ride the roller coaster? I think there's one of them just by Gorilla. And every time Ricochet and Curtis, I do this every time, Cedric Alexander walk past that little sign, Vince just looks at it and they don't make the cut. And then someone like Big Brendan Vick walks past with his head sticking on, and he's like, yeah, I like this guy. I like the cut of his jib. And all he's done is walk through a corridor.
Orby Noman has explained the flying past comment from earlier.
Thank you.
They meant, my bad, meant two women wrestling in, for example, the gym, facing out the outside window, and AJ is seen outside the window, falling off the roof as he goes.
I like that. I like that a lot.
And Spaz Phoenix giving us another question here. Predictions on random run-ins in the Intergender Ladder Battle Royal for the cash box in the rafters of the roof match.
Thing is, I'm hesitant to get carried away with this because what they've done is they've created a match of almost infinite possibility, because whenever they've done these cinematic matches, because they are cinematic, you can pretty much weave whatever narrative you want into them. They could do this, they could do that. Things feel limitless under those restraints. And obviously with this being not just one 6-man match, but 2 6-man matches going on concurrently, literally the possibilities for bringing other people in just to work with one person or do random spots here and there to tie in any other storyline you want means it is almost limitless. And I'm not trying to tease that I think Keith Lee's going to be in it, because I don't. But I worry now that we've gone into WrestleMania with very low expectations for the Boneyard match, very low expectations for the Firefly Funhouse match, and been delighted both times. And now that they've kind of set the bar is very high for these things, and now they're presenting us a match with near limitless possibilities, we're all going to get really carried away. Oh, this is going to be absolutely brilliant. And it's just going to be fine. It's just going to be good. And that, under the current circumstances, with all of this still going on, is like, that's a result for me if the match is just entertaining. They don't need to bring in the entire roster. They don't need to like unfurl 20 different subplots. They don't need to debut new people. They don't need to return anybody like that. I don't want to see Edge in it or anything like that. Just do 2 good Money in the Bank ladder matches, do them side by side, give us a couple of decent spots, and that's it. Sorry.
Nicholas, before I get your thoughts on it, Cleary, how will you react if if they decide to go full, let's just have random, celebrity cameos, wrestler cameos, or whatever? What happens if they open one of the doors and it turns out it's a music studio and the Buggs is on the drums?
I'll pop my tits off.
Nicholas, any surprise appearances you can see happening?
Like, of all the instruments I want him to be playing, if that was going to happen, and he's good on the drums. I've seen him play the drums. He's good, yeah. I've seen it, but I'd want to see him playing the guitar. I think if that's going to happen. What did you ask me? Sorry, I was too busy trying to be an arsehole.
Random run-ins that you can expect on Sunday.
Random run-ins. I think Cleary's right. I think this has got the potential to get everybody super excited, like Royal Rumble excited, because there's so many moving parts that you start to build up all these stories in your head, and you start fantasy booking everything, you run down like crazy. I'd like to see them, any ones that happen, obviously, to further other storylines, using this as the vehicle for it. That's kind of the way to go. How many they're actually going to do? We're already going to have quite a lot going on, really, aren't we? Like, there's a lot of stuff going on there. That's 2 matches in a building, men and women at the same time going on, presumably, for, like, as much through all the different floors and all the different rooms as we could possibly imagine. That's going to be busy. I don't know how much time we're going to have for loads of run-ins and stuff, but somebody who's in a feud at the moment will undoubtedly end up getting screwed out of the match or something. Unless Brock turns up on the helicopter, of course, but that is all to play for.
The heli Brockter.
The final few comments here. Money out to Anus. Thank you again for your donation. Says, have Gronk in Vince's office negotiating his contract, then Truth barges in, pings Gronk, gets the title back, and have Vince tear up the contract and tell Gronk, you're fired. Also, hi to Dale Ward in the comments. Presumably talking about Brendan Vink here, saying, enduring more bloody Aussies on WWE, even when that causes Adam to do those stupid bloody voices. Thanks very much for that, Dale.
Who's he talking about there, do you think?
No idea. Loads of speculation from people saying perhaps Tamina could take the title off Bailey on Sunday. Cleary, is this feasible?
No.
Nicholas, any chance?
No, thank you. Please move on.
I'm more and more worried the more I see these things reported. Oliver Byrne says, would it pop if Otis just gets a crane up to the top?
Oh, God. That's such a great spot.
The heavy machining.
Nah, because imagine Tucker is in the cab and he's like, and then you've got Otis in the thing and he's just like, Tucker! And he just sets the controls away and he's like doing the, oh yeah, as the crane's raising up to go and get it. That's amazing.
Especially because I like him trying to direct him as well. Like, yeah, Tucker, left a bit, Tucker.
He's like, Tucker.
And like the way we keep saying that they are on about cutting back to the match rather than doing it as one little thing. Just imagine like, oh, both wrestlers are down. Let's see what's going on in the Money in the Bank, and it's just Otis going, yeah, Tucker's really slowly.
Like Austin Powers. Yeah, Austin Powers steamroller slow where he's just like, I'm coming. Like,
Lads, what did I just say? What did I just say about letting your imagination scare away?
Look, man, we've got 30 minutes to kill every week on this now, and we're going to kill it in the funnest way possible, and that is booking Otis flying to the top of the match.
God, I'd be so disappointed if that doesn't happen.
All right, you know what? The hell with it, right? Alistair Black with climbing spikes.
There it is.
Yes.
Now we're talking.
One final thing we have to talk about before we wrap up here is the thing everyone is discussing today, and that's Roman Reigns and his seemingly erasure. That's not a word, is it? It's him seemingly be erased from WWE.
Looking for.
Thank you. Him seemingly being erased from WWE history. Nicholas, what do you think's going on with Roman Reigns?
The only thing that I care about that's going on with Roman Reigns is that he's all right. It's the only thing I care about. I realise it's all weird that he's disappearing from stuff and he's vanishing from things and people aren't doing promos with him in and all this kind of stuff that's happening. It is odd. It's odd. But you suspect they've got a bigger plan in mind. You'd hope so. It doesn't strike me like there's anything wrong or we should be worried about in terms of like it was him wrestling or the company maybe being unhappy with him, because I assume if they can get him back, they'll have him back as soon as he can be there. But it's a bit odd, isn't it? It's going to cause a lot of people like ourselves to end up picking up on it and trying to delve into it. But I hope they're doing right by him, for starters, is the main thing. I don't really want to see it and result in anything like negative, shall we say. Let's hope it's just part of their weird attempts at some out-the-box storytelling.
Clary?
I think it's just an example of how there's very little faith in this company. Like, this is Roman Reigns we're talking about here. Like, to be fair, WWE, the one good thing they did in all this, and it is the only good thing they've done in all this, by the way, was very early on they said, look, you're not comfortable traveling, you're not comfortable being on these shows, you don't have to do them, we'll push forward with however we can make people, not just Roman Reigns, who aren't involved at the minute with stuff. And they're not going to just go off him because he, the man who literally recovered from leukemia to get back into the ring for them, decided that he's probably not in the best position health-wise to be on these shows. It's just, they're just not talking about him and trying to keep him as far away from our collective consciousness because they want his return to be as big as it possibly can be. But there's just such little faith in them as a company to do right by people that you just look at it and think, oh, is there something up with this? Like any other promotion in the world, any other situation in the world, you wouldn't think twice about this. It's just because it's them. You're like, wait, are they trying to erase from history the cancer survivor because he wouldn't wrestle during a pandemic? Oh, gosh darn pricks.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a weird time to be a wrestling fan, and in particular, a weird time to be a WWE fan. Right, this has been WWE questions you most want answered. Do let us know your thoughts and any other questions you want us to answer in the comments section below. We'll try and do this next week. And you can let us know your thoughts on Twitter as well. Watch there at WhatCultureWWE. Watch there. Follow all three of us. You can follow Adam Cleary at
Adam Cleary, Clery.
Follow Adam Nicholas at
It's Adam Nicholas.
Follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow our lovely editor Phil at Phil My Chambers. And I said follow us all at What Culture WWE. And if you want more podcasts just like this one, you can do so by searching for What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. And make sure you join us back here live 4 p.m. BST on YouTube every single weekday for more live podcasts and the sort. But this has been WWE Questions you most want answered. Thank you so much for your questions, for your contributions, for everything, for being joining us this afternoon. My thanks to Adam Cleary and to Adam Nicholas. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.
Goodbye.